Hiya and welcome to this week's episode of Inside Property Development, where we're going to be talking about land trading, option agreements and promotion agreements and how they are different and how and where you might use each. Now, just on that point, Gemma, who looks after the training academy for me, Millbank Land Academy, obviously talks to lots of developers and people interested in doing our training. She tells me that those are all things that people have been asking a lot about lately, okay? About do we, help people and train them and all that stuff? The answer is yes, we do. I want to help you learn and know whatever you need to learn and know. So on that note, if you've got any comments, questions, ideas, do please stick them in the comments, right? I need to get much more interaction going with this, so please do remember to like and subscribe. That means the algorithm on YouTube in particular will help us. Many more people will see this, many more people will hopefully start learning and understanding how it all works. This week, lots of people have asked about, as I say, land trading, option agreements and promotions. So here's how it all works. Now, before I get into the detail, I want to give it a little bit of context. So, apologies if you have seen this before, and if you're listening, not watching, I'll try to describe it as well. But this is basically the magic land planning and property development triangle. Yeah, so people that work for me take the piss out of me about this because I draw it and go on about it so many times because I made it up. But it's actually really good, I think, in terms of explaining exactly how it all really works. Okay, so I'll try to describe it if you're listening, but you're better off going to YouTube to actually watch it and see it. If you don't know what it is, it makes more sense, right? So basically, I'm drawing a triangle where I've got two axes. The horizontal one is about risk, yeah? So the risk in the land planning and property development business is about how much time it takes you to do stuff, how much capital, I'm drawing sideways, that's a bit awkward, how much capital you need, and also how much expertise you need. So that's risk. Now, depending on how much time, money and expertise you've got, it's either going to be more or less risky. And the vertical axis is reward. So that's basically how much money you can make and how much good stuff you can create in terms of housing for people or commercial development, if that's what you're into, right? So risk and reward on the triangle. Now, the further, the more time, capital, and particularly expertise, this is the key here, right? You've got, the more money you can make. Now, if you join up the 2 points, that's where it becomes a triangle. Now, in development, there are 3 main bits to it, and I'm could call them land planning and design, and then at the end of all of that, last part of the process is actually building things. Yeah. So anyway, massive apologies if you've seen this before, because I do know I'll go on about it a bit, but it's literally so important. This is the key to everything. This is how it all really works. But it's important that I give you the context. Because remember, I'm going to get onto land trading, option agreements and promotions in a sec. And I'm going to refer it all back to this, yeah, and it'll all make even more sense. So these are the 3 key stages. Now remember, let me get different colour. You might be able to see a little bit more. So reward, right? This is really what we're trying to maximise, right? So the amount of money we can make, because at the end of the day we're in business, right? And we're in business to make money, but also the amount of housing we can create or other, types of development, right? So it's all about really trying to maximize our reward to make it worth our while, but in a safe, sensible, quick, and de-risked way. This is how you do it. I'm just about to show you, and this is what you need to know. So, number one thing you need to know is that everything in the whole process starts with land, right? So that means finding the very best opportunities off market so you don't get involved with a load of stupid competition. Yeah? So, this little square there. So at the start of the process, land is big, massively important, right? Now, once you've got land with potential, you need to get planning permission. Yeah, that's the bit that adds the massive value. So if you look at the sides, I'm now drawing the middle rectangle. So if the area of these these shapes equated to value and profit, this is a good representation of what it is. Yeah, big money in land, finding off market sites at the start of the process. Off market land is key. Massive value is added through planning and design. And then at the end of the process, the build bit, right, which is obviously massively important, particularly if you're a developer and you are building to sell or building to hold, that, of course, there's the big value to be created. But actually, in relation to the land planning and design bit, the risk-reward ratio is all wrong, right? All of the clever money and value is created, not all of it, the large majority of it is added through finding off-market sites, not paying too much for them to start with, and then adding maximum planning and design value, right? That's the clever bit. Now, remember this week we're talking about trading option agreements and promotion agreements, right? If you are trading stuff on, basically you are focusing on doing and getting good at this bit, right? Finding off market sites, yeah, securing them on sensible terms, typically £1 option agreements, and then adding maximum planning value, right? So that's basically what gets you from here to here, and doing that creates all of that value, massive value at these stages. This really is the key to development. This is what all of the big developers have got good at doing. It's basically what they do. Now, getting from here to here and then selling your position on, it's basically equals land trading. Yeah. And you don't even have to buy it in order to do that bit, right? So I'm going to explain a bit more about that. We're going to talk about that. Remember, I said this week we are talking about trading. And now links to that is the answer to the question about option agreements and promotions, because as I mentioned, lots of people have been getting in touch and asking about that stuff. And importantly, just to sort of like round it all up and wrap it up, the bit at the end, building stuff, right? Which of course is vital, but within the scheme of things, that's not the bit that creates the most value, and that is actually the most time-consuming and risky bit. If you do want to do that, you really need to be doing this bit first. Off-market sites, adding maximum planning value, that's the thing that de-risks the whole process, yeah? Now, conversely, just as an example, you could be coming here and buying things with planning, right? But they're never, ever going to be cheap, because there's going to be a lot of competition for them, and you're going to be bidding away your potential profit, in order to maximize the value of the land and effectively maximize the return for the land trader or the land owner. Yeah, which is why it makes sense to be that person rather than giving all the money to that person. Even if you want to build and develop yourself, you got to get good at the land and planning bit. Yeah. So hopefully that makes sense. And again, apologies again if you have seen me talk and bang on about the magic development triangle hundreds, if not thousands of times, depending on how long you know me, right? But it is key. Hopefully that like explains it really well, because that is really what it's all about. Land, planning and design, those are the key bits. Now, coming back to the question about option agreements and promotions. Every deal is different. Every site is different. Every landowner is different. Okay. So one of the things I talk about for people that train with us is about obviously, how you do all of this stuff here on the triangle, all the bits that go into that, and how you persuade landowners to want to do a deal with you, right? So number one thing actually at the start of the whole process is fact finding and relationship building, right? Once you find an off-market site, you make a direct approach in a very specific way. You follow up in a very specific way and at very specific timings. All of this has been reverse engineered and tested by me over the years. And then you say and do and don't say and do very specific things in very specific ways, depending on the type of landowner. And that's basically what gets you in front of the landowners for off-market deals. When you're in front of a landowner, the key thing then is fact finding and relationship building, because whilst in an ideal world, I personally typically just want to do £1 option agreements at an agreed price. Now this is key to the answering the question that's been raised, right? I want to do £1 option agreement at a fixed price. That is the best model when you know how to do it, right? But of course, if a landowner, for whatever reason, if that doesn't suit them, I'm going to find that out during the fact-finding and relationship stage and all the rest of it. And within reason, as long as I'm still doing a deal that works for me and makes it worth my while, I'll do whatever it takes. Yeah. Now, if that's a promotion agreement, it will be a promotion agreement. If it's a JV, it will be a JV, right? Let's say my preferred model is £1 option agreements at a fixed price. I add all the value. I can then trade the thing on once I've done that, or I can build the thing out if that's what I want to do, because adding the planning value has de-risked it. But if I'm never going to get that over the line with the landowner, then I'm going to do something else. Most of the time I do get that over the line with landowner, but I'm not fixed on having to do it a certain way, right? You've got to do this is based on fact finding and relationship building. Then you create the deal to suit. Now, the reason I like £1 option agreements at a fixed agreed price is because I know from experience that is the thing that is most likely to get the landowner to agree the deal. That other than give them crazy money unconditionally, which of course we never really want to do if you're sensible, right? The fixed price is the key thing, because landowners, like all people, I guess to some extent, they want certainty. Yeah. So if I'm doing a deal and I'm really good at that bit in the middle, maximizing the planning and design value, I come up with the best scheme. I know how to optimize things. I generate a land value of, let's just say, £5 million. That works great for me because that's going to give me a big return, and I'm happy that number's fine. But or it could be £4 million, £2 million, £1 million. It doesn't matter. But that is the figure that will be on the option agreement. Now, the reason landowners prefer that is because they want certainty. Yeah. Now, the way I do it, the way I present it to them, there is no risk. They were just sitting there anyway. They weren't necessarily thinking of selling. They enter into an option agreement with me. I go away, use my skill and expertise to potentially, subject to getting planning permission, maximize the value of their land, at which point I then have the option to buy it for X, £5 million in a little scenario that I just made up. Yeah.
Right, just a quick one. Whether you are a massively experienced and well-established property developer already, or maybe you're a new or aspiring one, either way, you will know that it is really not easy to find viable opportunities to come up with the best scheme, the best design that's going to maximize the land value and fully de-risk things for you, and then to go on to get the very best planning permissions as quickly as possible. However experienced you are, you will know that is not an easy thing. I have put together a super detailed scorecard based on my 40 years experience in this industry, reverse engineering everything that I've learned, including lots and lots of mistakes over the years, and everything I've done to maintain, touch wood, 100% planning track record. I'm pretty sure there will be stuff that you don't know. Go and do that scorecard. find out just how good or not your current process is, and I absolutely guarantee you will learn at least a little something, if not a ton. So it's bit.ly/MLA score, all in capitals. You can do the Millbank Land Academy scorecard. I absolutely guarantee you will find some interesting stuff, and it will help you get much better deals.
The reason I get lots of deals over the line that way is because I've come to realise that landowners really, they want certainty. They need to know the figure that they think they are going to get. Now, with me, they almost certainly are going to get that, because I, touch wood, always get planning permission. I make it happen, whether I'm building the thing or selling it on. They will get the number that I've told them they're going to get. And of course, that's what they want. They want certainty, yeah? Now, let's just park that there, right? So that's option agreements. That's why I like option agreements. The main reason being, one, I can trade them on easily. So when I've, and I remember I've agreed the deal on whatever number I know has got a good turn in it anyway. So I might have, put it this way, if I couldn't sell that site on for a lot more than 5 million quid, I wouldn't have tied it up at 5 million quid. Yeah. So, and then if and when I have got planning permission, if I choose not to build it out, I can assign, i.e. effectively sell on my bit of paper. So let's just say I find someone that's going to buy it for 6 million quid, which is highly likely, because of course now I've fully de-risked the situation. I've created a planning permission and a well-designed site ready to go. That's what people will pay good money for. So let's just say I've done that. I've now made the land worth 6 million quid. My bit of paper is worth the difference between my bit of paper says I can buy it for 5 million quid, but someone else wants to buy it for 6 million quid. I sell them my bit of paper for the difference, i.e. 1 million quid in that scenario. I've traded on my position, yeah? That's basically land trading, yeah? And the reason it works best and landowners like or are happy to accept that scenario is because they're getting a fixed price, and there's a large element of certainty there, particularly when you explain it and dress it up in the right way, right? So that's that. Now, let's jump to some extent the opposite end of the scale, which is promotion agreements. Yeah. Now, historically, most people, promotion agreements were really only used on strategic land. So if you don't know, so strategic land is typically stuff that has long-term potential. So it's not allocated in a development plan. It historically typically would have been around the edge of towns and cities and stuff like that. You would have to promote it through the development plan process, which used to be a much slower. I mean, it's still slow, but it's a lot quicker than it used to be. So in those scenarios, you might be entering into 5, 10, 15, 20, even more 20-year options, right? What those agreements effectively say is that, look, your site might have some long-term potential. We don't know when that is going to be. It might be 5 years, it might be 10 years or whatever. So we can't put a value on it. Yeah. So I can't agree that I'm going to buy it for 5 million quid or any figure at all, in fact, because it's too far in the future and it's too uncertain. Now, because of that, landowners, again, when that's explained to them the right way, they get that, they understand that. They are much more likely to be happy with longer term promotion agreements. Now, because it's hard to work out what the value might be in 5, 10, 15 years, it's unreasonable to expect you to agree or enter a fixed price, right? So typically what a promotion agreement says is that if and when I get planning, I will buy your site or we will sell on your site. Yeah, I'm able to get 70, 75, 80, 85, 90% of the then with planning market value. So you effectively are able, with a promotion agreement, to secure it at less than market value at some point in the future, and let's just call it 90%. So you're getting it 10% below market value at some point in the future, but the landowner's effectively agreeing on giving you that 10% is because you're spending the time and money and expertise to massively increase the value. So you're getting 10% of the higher value, or 15% or 20% or whatever you agree. Basically, that's what the negotiation then becomes about. You're not going to negotiate the purchase price with a promotion agreement. You're negotiating the discount, i.e. how much cheaper the market value can you buy it when you have increased the market value. Yeah. Now that works well. That's the way it works on longer term deals, because landowners get it. I think the reason, well, in fact, I know the reason, because I've had this before from this question raised. There are now lots of people out there that want to do a promotion type discount to market value deal, yeah, on what's really called short-term or immediate land. So short-term or immediate land is stuff that's within the settlement boundary. It's not, green belt or grey belt or something out in the middle of nowhere that's going to be long-term, right? Something that obviously has got development potential, but you still need to go away and get planning permission to realise that potential. Now, I know for an absolute fact, just from speaking to a lot of people over the years, the reason they want to try to do those discount to market value deals is because they are not clever enough. They don't know enough. They are not able to put a proper value on it themselves. Yeah. So coming back to my first scenario, yeah. So I do all the work. I use the knowledge and experience I've got to optimize the scheme, optimize the plan, properly value engineer it, work out what's the best thing to get on that site, negotiate the deal. I know that I can make it worth 6-7 million quid, who knows, whatever it might be. I negotiate the deal and get it tied up at an option at 5 million quid. The landowner likes that because they like the certainty of that number, 5 million quid. Now, when people aren't able to do that, they then start thinking about like, oh shit, how do I get a landowner to do a deal? And then that's why the questions about promotion type agreements come up in relation to shorter term deals. They then start thinking, well, okay, I will then agree or propose to the landowner that, I'll go away, try to get planning permission, and then at that point, I will buy it for 90, 80, 85, 70. Same as usual story, right? The same, a discount to the then market value, right? The problem is that on shorter term deals, landowners, they just don't like it. They are way less inclined. Remember, I'm just telling you this from long experience, right? They are way less inclined to agree a promotion type deal or a discount to market value deal when it's relatively short term. So I'm talking, 18, 24 months. It's a typical option period type deal, because you shouldn't really need any longer than that to get planning permission, and sometimes even less if you do it the right way, on the short term or immediate land type deal. So basically, bottom line is, landowners always want certainty. They're prepared to forego some of the certainty in terms of the number when it's a much longer term deal, because they get, it's a more true, believable story that, look, Mr. Landowner, it's a 5-year promotion, it's a 6-year promotion. Sometimes with long-term options are also based on a discount to market value. But the point is, landowners are much more inclined to accept them when it's a longer time scale, because there's a really, really good reason for not being able to give them a real number now, right? The only real reason actually to not being able to give a landowner a real number on a shorter term deal, in actual fact, is that you don't know how to be certain yourself on that number, yeah, and therefore have the confidence to go ahead and tie up the deal based on the 5 million quid, £1 option, given my scenario, right? So the key really isn't to try to persuade landowners to do deals that they don't want, i.e. promotions or discounts on the shorter term deals, because I know from years of experience that your chances of getting those type of deals over the line is way less than it is on just giving them a fixed price option agreement. Yeah. So the key isn't trying to persuade them, trying to, do some deal that, helps your uncertainty or sort of lack of knowledge and expertise. The real answer is to actually increase your own certainty and your knowledge and your expertise by learning how to do the stuff the right way. So that's really what that is all about, you know, and hopefully that ties back nicely to what I was on about, yeah? Off-market sites, knowing exactly how to create maximum planning and design value, and then obviously do your numbers based on that, that is what allows you to know what the land would be worth with the best planning permission, do your numbers on that basis, and maximise your chances of getting deals agreed. That is basically exactly how it works. So bottom line is, that's the difference between promotions and option agreements. Landowners want maximum certainty. You, we, me, SME developers, big developers, we also want maximum certainty. The way you get maximum certainty is knowing how to do this stuff the right way. If you don't know, well, how to do it the right way, obviously I've reverse engineered the whole process. That's what we show people how to do. We teach them exactly how to do all of this stuff and all of the many aspects that go into it. We've got a scorecard we created, asking you questions to elicit your understanding about all the different stages. I'll put a link around here somewhere so you can go and find that. If you haven't already done that, you should do that. It's interesting. You'll gather from that what the steps are, what you need to know, what's important, and basically find out just have you got enough knowledge in order to get those types of deals done, if that's something you're interested in doing. So go away and do the Millbank Land Academy scorecard. Google it, have a look. You'll find it somewhere. Somewhere around here, we'll post a link to it as well. But that is it. The bottom line really is you know, and I know this is why some people ask, you can't convince landowners to do a deal that they don't want to do based on your lack of knowledge or certainty, which is what happens. I know for a fact that's why people try to do you know, discounted market value option type deals and promotion deals on deals that don't really warrant them. And landowners don't like it and they won't do it. And you will massively restrict your chances of getting deals over the line if you try to do that. And if there's any chance that you are going to do it, you're going to have to be agreeing 90, 95%, sometimes higher percentages of market value. So you're only effectively getting a 5% discount anyway, which makes it not worth the time and the risk. So for all those reasons, you know, you got to know how to do this stuff. So anyway, that's it. Hopefully that makes sense. If it doesn't, or you've got any questions, stick them in the comments. If there's any questions on anything else, stick it in the comments. And please do remember to like and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one.
Thanks for tuning in to Inside Property Development. Please remember to like and subscribe. Do join us every week where we'll be speaking to house builders, developers, experts, planners, and everyone involved in trying to get more much needed housing created the right way. We'll learn together how we can collaborate rather than fight, and by working together, we can all help create better places, spaces, and homes, and a much more beautiful world.